Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Thursday. Hope you're having a great week. We're getting very close to the weekend. It's almost Friday. We have a fantastic show planned for you today. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be just me and you. I have a topic that I want to unpack today just between you and I. It's going to be terrific and thought-provoking. It's going to try to tie together some things that are happening in the news cycle and give you a broader understanding of what's really going on in the sports media world and the world at large. Buckle up, put your thinking caps on, kick back. I've got a conversation I want to unpack for you. I need you guys hitting the subscriptions, hit the likes, hit the comments, get in the chat. If you're listening over Apple, I need you to give me the 5-star review. I need you to write a review on Apple. We're fighting the algorithm. We're doing a great job. I appreciate you guys doing that. We need 5,000 likes today. We need you hammering the likes. We also need you supporting our sponsors like Nugenix. Guys, if it feels like it's harder to get in shape and stay in shape, our sponsor, Nugenix Total T, is offering a complimentary bottle when you text 231-231 and enter the keyword fearless. Getting older is a big adjustment. It gets hard to stay healthy. It gets much easier to get an early 2000 gluttonous Whitlock bod, and that energy from your younger days fades away really fast. Well, Jason Thinlock is here to tell you it's okay. As us men age, our body naturally loses testosterone. I call it the alpha hormone. It happens to every man, so don't worry. However, what if I told you that you can counter the negative physical effects of aging? Nugenix Total T Testosterone Booster with Testofen will help you turn back the clock, re-energize your workouts, and get you better results at the gym and help you look and feel like the man you really want to be. Nugenix Total T is the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. While every product professes quality, many other products use generic ingredients that are often far less than clinical grade. With Nugenix Total T, you get the same clinical potency levels used in the trials. And Nugenix formulation is backed by 10 years of science and research. Nugenix Total T can help re-energize your life and help you get back the powerful, confident, good-looking warrior you used to be. Now get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T when you text FEARLESS to 231-231. Text now and get a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, their most powerful fat incinerator ever, with key ingredients to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text FEARLESS to 231-231. That's FEARLESS to 231-231. Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply. That's 231-231, FEARLESS. All right, so I want to unpack for you guys a broader conversation that I've been wanting to have with you all that will help you understand things going on in the news cycle right now and how they attach to a much larger narrative that's impacting American culture, that's impacting the exploration of truth, that's dividing us, that's really leading us astray. It's not all that new, but I just want to put it in your face so you can see what's going on in real time and give you a little historical perspective on how we got here. And so where we're going to start is by talking about Kendrick Perkins and the controversy he's been in as it relates to Nikola Jokic and that whole conversation that's been going on ESPN. And Kendrick started talking about facts, and I started talking about assertions, and then we started talking about Kendrick, and then we started talking about ESPN. Facts, assertions, Kendrick, ESPN. Fake news. This conversation and what's going on with Kendrick Perkins attaches to fake news. JJ Redick called it out. Let's play some video of Kendrick Perkins going at it with JJ Redick, and then we'll follow up with ESPN the next day correcting Kendrick Perkins and the alleged facts that he asserted. Let's start with Kendrick and JJ Redick.
I want to just say something. Stephen A., I mean no offense to you, and I mean no offense to First Take, because I think this show is extremely valuable. It is an honor to be on this desk every day. It really is. But what we've just witnessed is the problem with this show, where we create narratives that do not exist in reality. The implication, what you are implying, that the white voters that vote on NBA are racist, that they favor white people. You just said that. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. That is exactly what you implied, Kendrick Perkins. That is exactly what you implied. Secondly, hold on.
I did not call. I stated the facts. And you're not about to sit up.
We all know what you implied the other day. We all know what you implied just now. Hold on.
I stated
one at a time.
It's the facts.
One at a time.
It's the facts. It's the facts.
So Kendrick Perkins, yelling and screaming, he stated the facts. His facts were that 80% of voters for the NBA MVP were white, and that since 1990, only 3 guys that weren't averaging in the top 10 in scoring have won the MVP, and they all just happen to be Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, and Nikola Jokic. 3 white guys. You marinate on that. I'll let you figure it out. This was Kendrick Perkins. He was clearly insinuating that white voters were favoring white players, and that's why they were winning MVPs, even though they weren't in the top 10 in scoring. JJ Redick pushed back against it, and the next day, ESPN had Molly Karam do this.
I want to correct something here from yesterday's show. When Kendrick Perkins said 80% of NBA voters for the MVP award are white, the NBA publicly announces the voters each year. And after review, it is clear the panel is much more diverse than what was portrayed by Kendrick Perkins. And we wanted to make sure that we corrected that today.
So we can get down in the details, in the weeds of the details of like, okay, what Kendrick was really trying to say is that the majority of voters are white, and that the majority of voters have some sort of racial bias that leads them to favor Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, and Jokic. That's what he was saying. He may be, maybe it's not 80%, maybe it's only 60%, or maybe it's 55%. But you know, he's still stating the facts. And yesterday, I tried to break down that, hey man, just because something is a fact doesn't mean it proves your assertion. Doesn't mean that it's a healthy, appropriate, accurate way to argue. Just because something is a fact. And I pointed out yesterday that what Kendrick Perkins is legalizing is a form of communication that will eventually lead to some white person on a platform saying that, hey, Ja Morant, and these gun problems he's having and the criminal problems he seems to be having and the lifestyle he seems to be embracing, some white person will say, you know what, it's just a fact that black men are 7% of the U.S. population, but they're responsible for more than 50% of the murders. And they're going to scream, I'm just quoting the facts. And what I'm suggesting is that this is all intentional. And Kendrick, I'm going to apologize up front for speaking this directly. Kendrick, I like you. I think you're way out over your skis. Kendrick Perkins is 6'10" and was blessed with that height and some physical gifts that made him a McDonald's All-American and someone that could go basically straight from high school to the NBA, or maybe he was a one and done, I can't remember, but I don't think he spent much time in college. In high school, given his height and his athletic ability, I don't think he was valedictorian of his high school. Based on the way he communicates and talks, I think that's a pretty good assumption that he was not the most vigorous, rigorous student. Kendrick, and I'm going to quit apologizing after this. I respect you, but you're not a Rhodes Scholar. You're not any type of scholar. You're way out over your skis talking about these cultural and societal issues. And I used to be one. You're just a dumb jock. And there are a lot of dumb jocks on TV and on elevated platforms and being promoted to talk about societal issues. You are not alone. And so I get why you've fallen into this trap. The puppet masters have placed you in this position, on this elevated platform, to stir racial division and to keep the conversation stupid and to keep everybody on a narrative that's far removed from reality. This is intentional. This is the time we live in, an era of mass chaos and stupidity and division. This is not by mistake that Kendrick Perkins is on ESPN and on First Take and on these other platforms. And he's not alone. Now, First Take did a little distancing of themselves from that. But Stephen A. Smith, he's out over his skis too. Shannon Sharpe, out over his skis. Skip Bayless, out over his skis. All of these guys, out over their skis. Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes, virtually all of them, everybody over at ESPN, and basically everybody at Fox Sports, all out over their skis. Molly Karam, Mina Kimes, you name it, all of them, way out over their skis. And Mina Kimes and some of these other people may have good grades from college and all this other stuff, but they don't know what they're talking about as it relates to these cultural issues and these conversations on race, and they're there intentionally, and we're all being set up. I know that Twitter, and many of you in the chat, and many of my stalkers spend all of your time, Whitlock is a coon, or Whitlock speaks for the white man, or Whitlock is always attacking black people. I'm not attacking black people. I'm trying to stop us from falling into the trap that's being laid for us. This intentional racial division being stirred by fake news is going to and is in the process of blowing up in our face. The more that guys like Kendrick Perkins, the more that Ryan Clark and others go on TV, constantly stirring the racial division, constantly playing the victim, constantly leaning into, if you're white, you're racist, and I can say whatever I want about you. I can generalize about white people any way that I want. It's a trap. Those guys are playing a game of checkers in a game of chess. And we're getting close to the end of this game. There are people that want to provoke racial conflict and racial division. They've been on social media stirring up black people and putting platforming and putting in primary focus. Oh, look what happened to George Floyd. Look what happened to Ahmaud Arbery. Look what happened to all these criminals that resisted arrest. Oh, the white man, the white police, the white America, it's horrible, it's horrible, it's horrible. And now that has slowed down, and what is becoming more and more prominent over social media is videos of, look at black people. Look at their criminal behavior towards white people and Asian people. These videos are getting pushed out at a more rapid pace or at the same pace as the occasional police brutality videos. The misbehavior of young black people is taking front and center over social media. And everybody can see it. And you can bury your head and pretend like it. But they're stirring an animus, the same animus that was being stirred in you with George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Rayshard Brooks and Eric Garner, is now being stirred in white people with the videos of young black kids violently engaging and interacting with white people. That's on a loop on social media. And as that starts to slow down, and because everybody can see like, well, dang, what happened to the police videos? And now I'm seeing these videos. Now they're letting the mainstream news cycle just do its job. And we're starting to see, Ja Morant, high-profile NBA player, in trouble with the law, with a gun, suspended from his team, seems to have gone off the reservation, used a gun to intimidate a 17-year-old kid. And then it's, Joe Mixon, the Cincinnati Bengals running back, who was caught on tape as an 18, 19-year-old knocking out a young white girl with one single punch. Now he's caught up as a Cincinnati Bengals running back. He's caught up in a shooting incident outside of his home, where there's speculation that he shot at and potentially injured a young boy who was playing with Nerf guns outside of his home. And now, last night, NBA legend, Seattle Supersonic great, Shawn Kemp, captured on tape, pulling out a gun in a mall parking lot and seemingly firing at someone, and he's been arrested in a drive-by shooting. Let's play this is on video of Shawn, looks like Shawn Kemp. He's been arrested for it, facing charge. There's a video, him at a mall, in the parking lot, daylight, firing a gun at someone. Play the tape. That's him in the video. Oh my God. Off in the distance. He's been arrested. And so what we're about to see is the inevitable backlash and discussion about, hey, what's going on with black athletes? Why are they seeming to have all these problems with guns? Joe Mixon isn't living in the hood, and he's still having problems with guns. He's been given all the money that allegedly, the money will fix it. If we just end poverty, Joe Mixon wouldn't knock out girls. He wouldn't be involved in criminal behavior. He's not in the hood anymore. But police were inside his home, long investigation. We don't know how that's going to turn out. Shawn Kemp has made a bunch of money in the NBA. He's retired now. He's out in the middle of the street in broad daylight at a mall shooting people. Ja Morant, $200 million contract, raised by good parents. He's got gun problems. If you think these dots can't be connected the same way that Black Lives Matter and all the PSYOPs and MK Ultras and Ray Epps impersonators, from Sean King to all these other people, to Ray McKesson, who used isolated incidents with the police to create the narrative that, oh my God, the police are out of control. They're just randomly killing black people. And LeBron James sitting on Twitter, you can't even go outside if you're black. We're getting hunted. This is all a PSYOP. This is all intentional. It's fake news. But if you think there's not an equal and opposite reaction to every action, if you think white people aren't going to sit there and say, hey, here's the tape, here's the video, here's the incident, here's what's going on with black people. The same way you tried to do them, they're going to try to do you. That's human nature. That's what humans do. And we're headed for that. And they've been using these idiot athletes, idiot celebrities to drive this narrative. And it's not by accident. It's not organic. These guys are all just chasing checks. Kendrick Perkins wants to be on TV, collecting money, wants to still be famous. And so he'll say anything. He doesn't know that he's being used. He's what they call a useful idiot. He's not alone. Stephen A. Smith, Molly Karam, half the people on Around the Horn. They're all useful idiots. The people over at Anscape, useful idiots. Out pretending like they're championing social justice and they're fighting white racism. They're being used to stir racial conflict. That anybody with a brain knows, based on numbers alone, just numbers, black people are going to lose that racial conflict. But they're being used to stir that racial conflict, to create an animus that's we've already seen what racial conflict does in America. It led to a civil war. It will do it again. People that don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. We're in the process of repeating history. Except this time, we're going to lose the conflict. We're not on the right side of this debate. We may be on the right side of some history that Jamel Hill and The Atlantic want to write, but we're not on the right side of this issue. We have been infected with racial idolatry. We've leaned into it. We've abandoned God. We've abandoned truth, and we've bought all into fake news and misinformed factual information to prove bogus assertions. And so I want to connect this to what's going on Tucker Carlson's show this week. He's been playing the January 6th tapes. He was given these by the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. People are upset about it. People are, oh my God, America can't handle the truth. Tucker Carlson's irresponsible. Why are you showing this stuff? And I want to give you a little taste, because I know many of you have been trained to ignore Tucker Carlson. He's on Fox News, and Fox News is racist. And anything they say is racist. And you can ignore it. And many of you may click off right now because you don't want to have your reality disturbed. You want to live in the fantasy land that the intelligence community, the FBI, the CIA have created, that Joe Biden has created. You want to live in that fake bubble. But these January 6 tapes are very enlightening, and the media's reaction to it, very enlightening. Let's play an excerpt. This is 2 or 3 minutes of Tucker Carlson and him playing the tapes. And he was of the 41,000 hours of security footage from January the 6th. They've been sifting through it and trying to expose that perhaps the media sold us a fake narrative. Let's play the clip.
They believe the election was stolen from them. They believe in the system. Here's the man you've heard referred to as the QAnon shaman outside the Senate chamber. These are not rioters. These are people who wandered over from a political rally.
We will not let them silence your voices.
After the rally, they walked down Pennsylvania Avenue, where organizers had secured a federal permit to hold a legal rally on the grounds of the Capitol.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Once at the Capitol building, things began to get chaotic. Capitol police officers fired tear gas into the crowd. A few at the front of the herd broke windows. Someone opened the doors, and many hundreds of others just walked in.
They're going to make that the story.
Of course, they did make it the story. And at the center of it, the single most famous person arrested that day was a Navy veteran from Arizona called Jacob Chansley, often referred to as the QAnon shaman.
The so-called QAnon shaman.
QAnon shaman.
Someone named Q Shaman.
Jacob Chansley became the face of January 6th, a dangerous conspiracy theorist dressed in outlandish costume who led the violent insurrection to overthrow American democracy. For these crimes, Chansley was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison, far more time than many violent criminals now receive. What did Jacob Chansley do to receive this punishment? To this day, there is dispute over how Chansley got into the Capitol building. But according to our review of the internal surveillance video, it is very clear what happened once he got inside. Virtually every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one of them even tried to slow him down. Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving the inspiration needed to these police officers to allow us into the building.
Contrast the reality of what Jacob Chansley did in the Capitol building on January 6th, the indisputable facts recorded on video, some of which has never before been seen, with the depiction of Jacob Chansley that you've seen in the media for more than 2 years. He's a terrorist, they said. He should be killed.
Shoot him. Yeah. Shoot him. Like, you burst into the United States, if he was dressed like bin Laden, would you have shot him?
Shoot him. Shoot him. It makes you wonder, who are the violent extremists here? Not Jacob Chansley, and the video proves that. But you would never have known from the media coverage.
So, what you're going to have to do, particularly if you're a black viewer, is remove the racial idolatry that's been injected into you. And don't just enter white guy bad, black guy good, Fox News bad, CNN good, MSNBC good. You got to remove all that and just deal with the reality. The QAnon shaman guy, he trespassed. He was no kind of threat. 4 years in jail for trespassing after you're being escorted around by police. The media lied to you. Take the race out of this. Isn't me caping up for Trump supporters. This is just me dealing with the truth and the facts of what the video and the footage reveals. You gotta dig deep because the whole system has been rigged to trigger you and to make you choose sides not based on facts and what's right in front of your face. It's been rigged for you to take a side based on, they're conservative, they're wrong. They're liberal, they're right. They're white and evangelical, they're wrong. They're white and smoke Hennessy drink Hennessy and smoke reefer with us at parties, they're right. They pretend like they like us, they're right. The other side pretends like, hey, why don't y'all get right with God? They're wrong. They're racist. You got to move past all that and to see that we're being intentionally pitted against us. That we're being intentionally pitted against each other. The reason I'm on that QAnon shaman guy's side is because he's working class. I come from a working class background. It's like Chris Rock said in his comedy routine. He identifies as poor, or he identifies as working class, even though he's wealthy. The same as me, because me and Chris Rock grew up similarly, working class parents. And so I'm not going to lie to people. Just because I got some money, I'm not going to lie to people that don't have money or who are working class. I'm legitimately going to be on your side and try to tell you the truth. The working class, black and white, have many things in common and need to come together because the elites, particularly in the media, are manipulating us to hate each other. The elites are using idiots, jocks, and actors, and sports writers and broadcasters, useful idiots who will do anything to make a buck and to be popular. They'll say anything. They'll play the role that the puppet masters give them enthusiastically. That's all that's going on. Facts, assertions, Kendrick, and ESPN. Fake garbage. I want to show you something because none of this is new. It's just more pervasive. And they're less discriminating about the style of idiot that they will use. I'm going to say something that will irritate a lot of people, but it's just factual. Dan Rather, a useful idiot. You know him as a legendary broadcaster, one of the greats of all time, one of the most trusted voices in news. He's just a useful idiot that they platformed when they needed him in 1963. And then after he did their bidding, after he followed their instructions, they then built him up into this great newsman and this icon. And it was a message to everybody else in the news. If you play the game the way Dan Rather did, we can make you rich, famous, and a legend, even though you're just a useful idiot. That's what's going on in the news media. And so Tucker Carlson's been putting out these videos all week and doing these shows about what happened on January 6th, and all of corporate media has basically been ignoring him and the truth that he's exposing. Everybody's just ignoring him or taking a dump, and he's irresponsible. How dare he? And it's because they're all going along with the rig job. There's a controlled demolition of America going on right now. And corporate media is in on it. All of them. Black, white, folks at Fox News, folks at CNN, ESPN, Fox Sports, MSNBC, CNN, the New York Times, all of them are in on it, on misleading you as we go through this controlled demolition of America, and they foment a racial conflict and a conflict that will destroy this country. And this all started 60 years ago, where they took control of the media, and Dan Rather is their great accomplishment. The useful idiot they put in front of all the other useful idiots and say, you can be just like Dan Rather, a mediocre journalist who's rich, famous, and celebrated as one of the great journalists in American history. Who's not taking that deal? They've all taken it. And that's why Kendrick Perkins, sign me up. I'll be a useful idiot. I'll go out here and stir racial animus. All of them took the deal. But watch Dan, this is why I point out Dan Rather. The President of the United States is assassinated on November 22nd, 1963 in Dallas. The President of the United States, assassinated in broad daylight. One man, Zapruder, I don't know why I can't think of his first name right now. Andrew, maybe. Adolf Zapruder? No. Who? Adolf Zapruder? Wow, I didn't know his He caught it on tape. The Zapruder film. On November 22nd, he recorded Kennedy getting assassinated. And this was a problem for the people that pulled it off, the assassination. The CIA that did this, according to reports, and that's been exposed on Tucker Carlson's show as well. They weren't planning on Zapruder capturing this on tape. And so they needed someone to go out and lie to the public about what was on the Zapruder film. They kept the Zapruder film no different than how they've done the January 6th footage. They kept it closeted and under seal, and you can't see it, and blah blah. And so they had a handful of people come in and watch the Zapruder film, I believe on November 24th or November 25th. And then Dan Rather raised his hand and said, I'll be the useful idiot and go out on national TV and promote the lie that John Kennedy, the president, got shot in the back of the head. Watch the tape.
In the next instant, with this time Mrs. Kennedy apparently looking on, a second shot, the third total shot, hit the president's head. His head could be seen to move violently forward.
Can we play the tape where Dan Rather is on camera as he says this about the head moving violently forward? Because his whole body language was in on it. I wanted to play the full Rather and then show the actual shooting, but we splice it together where you hear Dan Rather's voice, but at the same time that he's saying that Kennedy's head went violently forward, Dan Rather is mimicking that behavior in the video, that Kennedy got shot and his head went violently forward. And then you can see on the Zapruder film, the guy gets blasted in the front and his head goes back. But Dan Rather went out and told that lie on national TV, and the rest is history, and millions of dollars, and awards in his name, and statues, and plaques, and celebration, and he's a revered journalism figure. This is in 1963. It took years. It took Jim Garrison down in New Orleans and that trial that he put on like 10 years, 9 years after the assassination before the public got to see the Zapruder film. This is no different than the January 6th stuff. They've been doing this over and over and over again. Let's play the Dan Rather tape again so you can see Dan really trying to sell this lie. And he did.
In the next instant, with this time Mrs. Kennedy apparently looking on, a second shot, the third total shot, hit the president's head. His head could be seen to move violently forward.
It's been fake news ever since. That's the gold standard of journalism, Dan Rather. Selling a lie, an obvious lie. And you wonder why people get on TV and are so comfortable lying and promoting false narratives? The president was shot in broad daylight in Dallas, and we all just went for the lie? That Lee Harvey Oswald shot him 3 times from the back in a moving car, and it wasn't an orchestrated assassination with several shooters. We just bought it, and they sent Dan Rather out there to sell it, And then they made Dan Rather rich and famous. Dan Rather was nothing before this. He was not famous. He was not on track to be one of the great TV journalists of all time. But once he participated in this lie, he hops on the fast track to fame, fortune, celebrity, and a legacy that can't be questioned or challenged. It's no mystery to why Kendrick Perkins and these other people are so comfortable in the media lying and promoting a narrative. The government, the FBI, the CIA, they're in control of all of this. They're in control of everything over social media that's been exposed during the Twitter files. Who was manipulating Twitter and promoting all these false narratives and deplatforming people and shadow banning people and promoting this hostility towards truth. Kendrick Perkins is in great company. When I call him a useful idiot, there's a long line of useful idiots in the media, many of them with terrific reputations, major contracts, mansions and homes. And we're wondering why Kendrick Perkins took the deal? But at some point, you have to wake up to the reality that they are intentionally pitting us against each other along racial lines. And you're going to have to wake up to the fact the results from the last racial conflict, the people doing this weren't satisfied with those results. They're trying to upend those results. The good guys won last time, and they're mad as hell about it. They started the KKK because the good guys won. And now they pay idiots like Kendrick Perkins, Dan Rather, Rachel Maddow, and a million other people that it would be a waste of time for me to name, but just virtually everybody you see in corporate media, to go out and promote these lies and to promote this racial division and to promote this confusion about gender and to promote all the hostility towards truth. Everybody took the deal. Why are you taking it? It will not benefit you. It will benefit them. Dan Rather is rich. He can pay for his kids and grandkids to do whatever the hell they want. You, on the other hand, are going to have to deal with the reality of this upcoming racial conflict, all the hostility that's being promoted, all the animus that's being promoted. You're going to have to deal with the consequences of that. While they run off to their mansions, have little parties, have little sex orgies, visit Epstein Island, do whatever the hell they want. Why go for it? I hope that I pulled all that together. It's sad that we've come to this. I'm telling you that I'm not saying this for my own benefit. I'm not saying it to please anybody. I'm saying it because I actually care about this country. And I actually care about people. And we have to snap out of it. ESPN, well, because I would say, hey, they should fire Kendrick Perkins. That ain't gonna fix nothing. There'll be another useful idiot sign up for the job. All right, I gotta go. I gotta do it. I gotta go. Play tomorrow. Kristen, could you run and get my phone, please? Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.
sign, looking like it's my time, feeling all kinds of free. These words are our religion, our regrets and our decisions. We all wanna go to heaven with freedom. It's my obligation, no hate, discrimination, raising up your hands for freedom. Raise up your hands for freedom. I just want, I wanna be, I just want, I wanna be, I just want, I wanna be, I just